Yeah, sure.
It's probably
and
my
then I think we
calendar.
might end up getting Theranosist in the old Pollard spot, which is just one of nostalgia.
There's the link.
So that'll be neat, and she's cool and seems reliable, so.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, hopefully.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
gosh.
We just need to get somebody in there.
Empty is good, it's bad.
Yeah, empty is bad.
We're just about to start. I'm just, we're kind of getting the Zoom thing situated and
Dang it.
all stuff situated.
You're good.
This is a work in progress, so it'll get smoother as time goes on. I'm just.
Do you want like a stand for that then? Is that weird?
Okay. Hold on.
And get as much of the group in as we can.
Yeah.
Senator Jen Plum was asking for the Zoom link. Hopefully I didn't send her the Google Meet. 'cause
Yeah,
that's
when you,
not the
I
same
still
thing,
do
right?
things that aren't.
Sorry, this is my partner's table. She's
Everything is recognized.
working Thursday with that.
Now say late.
You get her blood.
Hello.
Right.
I don't want to be so frazzled. I'm just like, let's not get it like. getting-
Oh, we have to allow people to get in.
Okay. I mean, we're all, especially after the
Oh.
pandemic, we're all a little socially.
Never mind, that's autopilot.
Definitely do. Yeah, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
This,
Did we want to allow both of your autopilots?
I should still start back before I'll hop off after.
No, I don't. This for.
Randy, did we want to allow your autopilots?
Yeah, well, I guess you don't have to. We're recording the meeting anyway, so that's fine. It's more, it just confuses people more than anything, I think. Like, what's an otter popper? What's an otter sided? Or it's like a thing that transcribes and then you can like refer back to it.
Yeah, I just, there are two of them.
Two? Who's B? I have two of them? God, there's
Brandy's and bees.
One's brandies and one's bees.
I could be
Not
B.
really love, like.
I didn't realize I had duplicates going on, but.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like.
And it's,
sitting like
I'm
that
pretty
the
sure
whole
that she'd be
time.
here, she'd be here online, so maybe she's gonna pop it on the Zoom thing.
Okay.
Out in the driveway.
Yeah. That's what I need at work, just come to all my meetings. People.
I know, shit, it's like,
Yeah.
Like.
if you haven't given your email or phone number yet.
We have the rest of it. Yeah, we'll sign in and give you all our info.
I never feel like I have enough time to get all this stuff done.
Oh, I get it. It's hard to do all
It's
that.
thought process is way more disorganized than it used to be, like, back before PTSD or like other.
Sorry, we're keeping around here anyway.
I feel, you did the station, you read our. First stuff, yeah.
You got the other side of the Zoom? That,
Cool.
otherwise,
It is taping.
no, you can put whatever you want, like, standard pace or.
Oh, pardon, sorry. Hello again. What is the master? Otherwise, it doesn't really matter.
Sit on laps, whatever you want to do, we're gonna try to.
Right? Make it.
I cope with things with humor, so you'll find that. Wow.
We're
That's
the
the hard
hard
thing.
around here. Makes sense. You're wrong.
Yeah, one day I'll have these printed out, but they're not professional like that. So yes, we're we're excited, so I know who attended since I have a great short-term memory.
We're doing two different signups.
I did.
Oh, there's two lists. Oh, that's your newsletter, isn't it?
One's the city and then one. Yeah.
Oh, God, so many lists going around.
Okay, well, okay.
Just to know.
Find us a
Central
list.
city and then the city government.
We're not gonna send you any like, made for TV stuff. And, I hope I got him there. Does Jen Plum show up on there? I don't know if I got him the link.
No,
How many people are online? Or is anyone online yet?
nobody else is online yet.
Okay.
Hi, Ben. There's your head.
There's my head.
don't know what Jen calls shape.
The kids, you see, that shouldn't go in. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Hey, I got it from farmers yesterday.
Hello, Will? Oh, maybe not. Will's trying to call. Can you send Will?
Okay,
Did you not put it in the meeting link?
I did, is it, I mean,
Hello, Will.
hold on.
You should be able to get the Zoom link in the meeting details.
Will heading, right?
Yeah, it should be in the details. There should be a link to use Zoom, or there's a meeting ID.
Sending it right now to him.
Brandy is.
It's in the link tree, I'm sitting in the link tree, it's in, the Zoom is in the link tree for CCNC.
Oh, Brandy's sending you the link. She said it's in the link tree.
And that-
I'm gonna leave it. You gotta send it out to 2 days. Okay, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen interest in this. I'll be back.
I'm coming an hour early.
Yeah, on the CCNC link tree, the Zoom link in there.
Hey, are you, coming in person or online?
All right, so
It's the
thank-
same group as the council meeting.
Really crazy.
Oh my gosh. So,
Shall we begin?
yeah, let's, gosh, Austin, what do we usually do at the council meetings first, since you're better at this stuff than I am?
You're good.
What introductions?
Yeah, go around.
Okay.
Name. Yeah,
I got stage fright.
name and then why you're here. Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm Austin Taylor. I help run the Central City Neighborhood Council. And I'm here because like with Brandy and Rihanna, we help clean up, we spearheaded the effort to clean up with River Rock Apartments in southern Central City. There was a very similar situation to what you see here, like mismanaged affordable housing, and you know, we found out how to essentially get all the what would you call them, like enforcement people to crack down. It's
Hold people accountable.
yeah, hold people. I'm Tim Cosgrove. I'm the mayor's community liaison for this area, and I cover the city on other issues that kind of same boundaries. So like a lot of construction issues, homelessness issues. And I've been working primarily with club condos, but trying to connect the neighborhood here with any resources that we have available currently to and just try to bring the community together. I've been through a few of these. I've worked in the mayor's office for 7 years, and we did one down at. I'm sorry, I should go on. Talk about that later. Okay, I get carried away. However, I can help.
I'm Neil. I live at the club condos.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Like to meet face to face.
Yeah. And I'm here just because I've got a stake in the neighborhood. We live right across the street from Magnolia. We see a lot of stuff. Our condo faces out towards the street, so get a front row view.
I'm Gina, I live in the Hollywood condos, just want to try to make the place area safe and comfortable for everyone, neighborhood.
Where are the Hollywood?
It's right next to the.
Next to the Boyer building.
Lincoln.
Yeah. Can I interject really quick? If you didn't put your email, could you put your email? We'll add you to the Central City Neighborhood Council email list. I'll send it about.
Already on it.
Already on it, don't worry about it.
I'm Alan, I'm Gina's husband, and but I also live in Hollywood. Hollywood, those that don't know, it's 2 buildings down from here. And it's built in 1909 as apartments, and then it was, I don't know, 34 years ago, was converted to condominiums. It's 31 units in there. Yeah. And so no parking there because they had horses there. And But same thing, I have a stake in the neighborhood, I wanna see it, be a place that is welcoming and that we all like.
I'm Brent. I also live in the club condos. And I'm just here to see what's going on and if there's anything we can do to improve the neighborhood.
Great. I'm Shlee. I'm the Weirvo artist who occupies this space. I am here primarily because I want to be a really good neighbor to everyone who occupies this space. But also would love to see some activation of the space in a way that feels like it's beneficial and reparative for all.
Justin, also live at the club and neighbors, so kind of same sentiments are also same.
I'm Ashley and my partner Erin. We live at the Hollywood as well, and we're here because we walk our dog and we love Ben.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
It's a big white one, right?
No, actually, it's the little mean cattle dog we found. It's a feral stray, and
I love them being out of
yeah, no, she's a jerk, but we love her.
They're so loving and dedicated. And it's like,
I feel like all of our neighbors are like, oh yeah, it's a cute one, don't touch.
That's what my dog is too. Exactly.
I'm Rihanna. I'm the chair of the community council or the neighborhood council, and I'm here to support Brett, Ben, and Brandy. And also invite you to our meeting. We meet on the first Wednesday of every month at the library. And yeah, just I did help a little bit. I can't take a lot of credit for what happened at River Rock, but we were able to turn it around, and I really hope that we can do the same up here. So.
oh, hi. If anyone's online, hi. Oh, I hate how I look on camera, I get so conscious. I'm Brandy Bird. I'm the vice chair of the Central City Neighborhood Council and kind of started or we created a neighborhood watch because, you know, there wasn't one really, I guess. And if we're allowed to use that name or not, I don't know. It's what we're calling it for now. Listen,
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we're, you know, like I said, Austin and Rihanna and I are involved in this, the council, and we do crime prevention and stuff around River Rock, and we specifically, since summer of 2022, we're focused on improving in it. And the last year and a half, it has improved significantly, noticeably. Neighbors have noticed there's been many improvements, and it's been awesome. And that's also around like the Geraldine King Center. Tafford Park is part of that, Richmond Park. Even the Artesian Well and Gallagher Park, which are really smaller, not as many issues, but the neighborhood has improved, and you have to keep on it, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress, but there is hope. It's not just a lost cause, but it takes a lot of effort from, you know, little effort from a whole bunch of people and different skills and stuff to get things going. And I am so excited that people are showing up and want to help and be involved. So I get nervous in front of people and talking, so don't mind me, I'll ramble or say something stupid, I'm sure, at some point. So I have no filter.
And I'm Ben. I think I know everybody here that live at the Hollywood. Excited to help develop a neighborhood that we're gonna be more proud of.
We call Ben the steward of our.
Got all the good
He's
cameras.
also the man.
Oh, good, I can't see myself anymore.
Ben is the man.
It's so much easier when I don't see my sons.
We should make the future.
So we don't really have much of a formal agenda, so
online.
let's see if
Oh.
we actually have anybody online. I don't think we do.
I'll ask for the link, and I thought I sent it to her, she not.
Yeah, we don't have any more participants.
And Stuart said she's gonna, or Detective Stewart said she's gonna be here in person or online. I haven't seen her yet, so I'm like,
And I used the meeting ID that you had in the Google Calendar event.
okay, because that's the Zoom link I use.
It should be the right one.
Is if I send you the link tree, copy it and paste it to your text, can you send it?
Well, I gotta use the meeting ID that was in the,
Okay.
because that's the meeting ID I started with.
Check to see if I did this right or if it was a total disaster.
I didn't pay attention to this one.
We are so grassroots right now, and I.
Yeah,
love that.
next time I'm coming an hour early and like hunker down and like making sure all the stuff.
I want people to care in person.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's important.
And it's recording, so that everyone can see it after, we can send it out to people, so.
Right.
I just feel bad when I let, you know, people know that it's gonna be online, they're like, oh, sorry.
We had our last meeting last month, or our first meeting last month. Thank you for everybody who attended and returned. Our plan for this meeting was to brainstorm objectives for what it is that we want to have for our neighborhood watch, in air quotes. Last time we also discussed that neighborhood watch is one of those kinds of things that used to be a bit of a nationwide movement that has been kind of fallen to the wayside because of police departments not supporting it because of budgetary cuts over like a decade or so ago, and that the normal avenue to becoming an official neighborhood watch in the traditional sense was that we would have to set aside a budget to purchase signs and work with the city and the police department to have signs posted and all of that in order to move towards broadcasting to the neighborhood that we will report any suspicious activity to the police immediately, and that according to the neighborhood watch that's how you prevent crime. I think maybe in the River Rock area, you know, you guys didn't post any signs down there.
Oh, no, no.
So maybe that official old school historical way of doing
It was
neighborhood
kind of
watch
stealth
is
for a while, wasn't it? It was very on the down low. And
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares about the signs. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
if someone's gonna get a
They're-
crime, they're not gonna be, oh,
Yeah.
crap.
And so
Yeah, there's literally 5 of us.
neighborhood watch, even though like we're not gonna be on the neighborhood watch registry
Yeah,
unless we
right.
go through that avenue.
It doesn't make us any less legitimate or anything, though.
I'd actually like to move, or make a motion, I guess, whatever. It's not a formal place. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'd like to open up the discussion a little bit about calling it something other than neighborhood watch. I actually like to think more of a community or a community care committee.
And it maybe
Okay.
has bad connotations or associations with it in people's minds.
Yeah, that,
Okay.
I'd like to actually kind of, step away from the connotations that previously.
So how about we try to figure out what our objective as a group is,
Yeah,
and then let's come up with a name that kind of matches that objective.
I think so too, as opposed to actually like lumping ourselves into the pre-existing neighborhood watch. Let's like be creative and find something that's bespoke to our current scenario, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So with that in mind, the idea was to have everybody come to the meeting with ideas for what you would like our objectives to be, so that we kind of brainstorm that, and hopefully we can land on an idea of what we want our 3 main objectives to be for the group.
Will you let me in the meeting? I understood, just so I can.
Admit.
Okay, all right, awesome.
So I heard in our introductions, that there was excessive River Rock. And so for me, if something has been successful, I'd like to hear about it and see if those are things that we could incorporate it. Those that are most aware of that, if there's any way we can get just a synopsis of some of that, that'd be really helpful to me.
Yeah, absolutely. If we got like 5 minutes, I should talk about that. So,
Yeah.
and I think that River Rock scenario is very applicable here, just from what I know is going on. You know, I don't live at the club, I don't live at Hollywood. I live down where Brandy and Rihanna are, which is like 6 South, 4th East, but River Rock is a, you know, federally subsidized low-income housing development. It has about 350 units, and most of them are rentals, some of them are condos, but they were poorly managed, right? There's a management group that essentially let it go and stopped enforcing basic rules. And so what we found when we went in there was broken windows, puddles of blood, and we actually showed puddles of blood to state legislators one day, which was incredible. Standing water, urine, feces, needles, things that you guys probably have seen around here already. So, and what we did there is we studied all the regulations associated with, it's called LIHTC housing, low-income housing tax credit. It's the way that the government subsidizes low-income housing, and the different requirements that you have to follow as a landlord of LIHTC housing. So there's certain health and safety requirements that you have to follow. There's certain things that the tenants have to do. Those things were not being done at River Rock. They're not being enforced. And so we found the enforcement agency tasked with enforcing those laws, and they weren't enforcing, and we found out that they hadn't been doing inspections for years, which they're supposed to be doing annual inspections. So we first played nice with these state entities, and we said, here's like 100 photos of
violations of, state, federal, city laws. Here's all the evidence. Let's start working on this.
Were you, you know that there was some issues in accessing the building, were you?
Yeah.
You weren't able to just go in there.
No, because you don't want to trespass. Yes. So I know there's a whole row, like Embassy Arms, Falling Downs, right? The whole row of them are mismanaged. To get into River Rock, we had to know a tenant inside of there, because you can't just walk in and trespass, right? It's illegal. If you do that and the landlord knows, they're gonna retaliate against you. And so you're not gonna get anywhere. And so it was important that at River Rock, we had multiple friends who lived there that could get us in and send us photos and
Yeah.
get us photos.
There was
They
5,
wanted to change too.
They wanted to change, and they weren't afraid of being retaliated against by their landlord.
there was about 5 of us initially, but several of them lived within the complex that were in the, kind of core group that was, you know, working on River Rock and, so it was a tight-knit group but this is kind of going to be more of a widespread thing. We want to have, Central City goes from South Temple to 9th South, and then a State Street to 7th East, but we want to have some like zones more condensed.
Let's have Austin finish what worked at.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and so,
I told you I'm not good at this.
yeah, so we got all the evidence, we packaged it up, right, photos, and like videos and testimonials and stuff. We sent it to the entity that was supposed to be enforcing the rules, and we said, like, here's the evidence, let's start enforcing stuff. And they didn't want to, right? They didn't play nice with us. And so we went to the media and we got 2 or 3 different stations to interview people who lived at River Rock and show the photos that we gave them. And immediately things started turning around.
But very quickly it was.
Yeah. So what happened is that entity, it's called Utah Housing Corporation, through the LIHTC program, they distributed $36 million to the landlords of that building to do a rehab project, with the condition that for 10 years they had to follow health and safety standards. And so we were within that 10-year health and safety period. And so that state entity threatened the landlord, saying, we're going to pull your $36 million back, because we have the authority to, if you don't follow the health and safety standards. And so that was enough to get the landlord to fire the management company, bring in a new management company, unfortunately, but needed to happen, evict a ton of people. So they evicted, hundreds of people who were breaking the law. And then they brought in, people who needed low-income housing, who were honest and willing to follow the law and respect the place. And so now if you go by there, it just looks clean and safe.
I have a hard time finding garbage to pick up for months now, because the 2 groundskeepers are so amazing for their job. The management of New Earth, and Jessica in particular, the manager, cares and is dedicated, unlike other past property management companies.
Is it now managed by New Earth?
Yeah, New Earth, and they used to be UV residential.
So I'm connected with them through, I work for the Red Cross and do community resilience stuff across a few different states. So I'm connected to their regional director.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do you know their name?
Yeah, I do. Give me a second. Another.
Ledge and New Earth are 2 different ones we
We're
deal with,
kind of-
right, with them.
We're lightly
Is it
fighting
Charles?
because no,
Yeah.
Charles, no. Oh fudge, what's her name? I can pull it up, but we
Jessica.
Dakota?
no. She's based in Denver, but she manages all of their like community programming. So she
Yeah.
would bring the Red Cross in to do programs, but then there are like individual managers of every property.
Right.
And we have struggled with some of those like community showing up, or we show up to give a presentation and no one's there and they rushed out.
Right.
So like we're a little bit fighting.
They're
but-
disorganized and not really participatory.
Yeah.
And Strider Security, I have to give them a shout out. They started a few months back and they have made a world of difference. They walk around the perimeter inside and out. They engage with people that are there. They trespass, get people out that shouldn't be there. They're very engaged, very dedicated officers, very ethical, just good. And that's the only security company that's ever been worth anything there. Metro did nothing.
So let me just add really quick. I met with Brent and I've studied the financing of the apartments in this area, just generally. So this entire west row here, like stuff that burned and has been for sale recently, it was financed through the LIHTC program. And so there are those same laws that the landlords have to follow and the same enforcement mechanisms. And so we could replicate the techniques we used at River Rock here at, the stuff on this west side here.
Yeah.
And then on the east side, Utah Nonprofit Housing Corporation, they often use the same federal tax credits and are subject to the same standards. And I haven't been in any of these buildings here, so I don't know which ones are mismanaged. I tend to believe the stuff on the west side is probably what mismanaged and not the UNHPC stuff, but.
Yeah, if you walk around the buildings, it's disturbing, all the garbage. Have you guys, any of you walked around like the back end of the alleyways of the buildings? In the.
I look out that way, at my house.
Not pleasant, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna get a lot of attention from like city officials unless it's like a huge health and safety violation, right? So, I mean, certain things we can bring to their attention, and some things it may just be like, oh, the manager's not cleaning the building, so. Well, I mean, I don't know how we approach that, but.
I think.
Can the mayor's office
Yeah,
or Eva
share
help us
something.
with some of this stuff?
Yeah, we've been watching for years. Right now, this been going on, and I started covering this area in June. And jumped to warp speed on it. Now we have, twice a week, we have Advantage Services, the city contracts with Advantage Services. They're a nonprofit organization that primarily hires, homeless and unsheltered population to
They've been
work.
awesome.
And then gives them training skills where they can move up in their abilities to be management. But they come through here twice a week. We have what's called the RIT team, Rapid Intervention Team, primarily looking at the unsheltered residents that have been moving back and forth across the street from the east side to the west side, from the west side to the east side. We'll send out BOA. We engage with them, try and get them to move into sheltered housing. A lot of people, just Austin and I were talking about this earlier, how many tents are still out there, even though we have shelter available.
Yeah, over by the library, it's sad.
But people do. After that, they send a cleanup team that comes through and cleans up. And then we have the downtown ambassadors that the city council approved last year that extend up to 400 east. So they come through here once a week to clean up. So we're coming here 4 times a week on that end. I know, talking with Ben, it's still incredibly.
What are they allowed to clean Advantage? Like, how far is their abilities? They can't go, can they go down in the stairwells of the building, or is that private property? So is it just the parking lot?
They
common
do the
spaces?
public areas.
Okay.
They primarily do the public areas. We got a call from Gene, over the holiday weekend and.
For the club?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we were able to dispatch Advantage Services out there to clean up some bio waste.
Oh, geez.
So we don't want, you can do it on your SLC mobile app. And Advantage Services will come out and clean it up within, usually my experience has been within 24 hours. Usually I get a response back from somebody that called me and said, hey, they just got here 2 hours, it was 2 hours ago. Thank you. So they try to get what they can. We have a lot of coordination with resources. We have what's called a community action team, a CAT team. It's an internal team. We had an open case on River Rock back when Ava was liaison in the mayor's office. I know we coordinate other services and resources. So we had the Department of Health there. They were going into River Rock and doing the inspection because they can. And they were calling people out, getting them on notice, but also educating and informing them, here's how you clean a house. If you haven't had that education before, here's how to take out the garbage, not leave it in, get piled up. That you attract rats and rodents, or here's how to get rid of bed bugs and cockroaches. And we had police out there. It wasn't Detective Stewart before, it was I think it was
He wasn't before, I don't even know who was. I don't remember anything before.
Yeah. But in a collaborative approach to try to have an impact there, we also do the Salt Lake City Police Department does what they put some resources in called Night Out Against Crime. And you can request it, they do it first Monday or Tuesday of August, I forget if it's Monday or Tuesday, but it's always the first Monday or Tuesday. It's really identifying people in the neighborhood. You can ask for them to come have it here in this neck of the woods. And they'll bring all their resources, it just lights up the place. I spoke with Brent, the public information officer, and with Sergeant Mark Wien that oversees Coffee with the Cop. It'd be really easy to have Coffee with the Cop in front of 7-Eleven.
Oh, that'd be great.
I've got PD come out here. It's just like you said, activating the neighborhood. We did this down at 1700 South and I don't know, 138 West, Sweet Lake that was over there. We had the room, about 40 people that came together to create. With the homeowners associations that are in the 1700 Row, the Edith, the Lucy that are all over there.
Is that a hotspot area, like a problem area?
Yeah, with the new multi-unit apartments, but they wanted to activate the neighborhood. And we have civil enforcement that goes out there that enforces on boarded buildings, anything and everything like that in a collaborative approach. Sam Bowles, a detective, went out there and did what's called a SEPTA review, crime prevention through environmental design.
That's interesting stuff.
Looking for shadows and white spaces where you can shine a light in the neighborhood, put a spotlight on the area. We did reach out to the manager of 7-Eleven. He's just as frustrated as you are. If he doesn't let people come use his bathroom inside, they go out to the side of the building.
The 7-Eleven over here?
Yeah.
One that hasn't responded to us?
If they, he's very responsive, but he's exhausted. He's pouring.
Has he responded to you then?
He's pouring all of his time and energy and effort into keeping that place going.
We want to help in any way we can.
So I think those kind of things in a collaborative approach is less than a demanding approach, because he's making them a part of the community, the neighborhood, welcoming them. I'm not saying, I'm not putting any judgment on it. I'm just saying.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's just frustrated. He had people passed out in the bathroom or doing drugs in there, and then he's got to call PD to come get him. We work with.
Sorry, I'm just gonna.
We work with the pantry over at the Episcopal Diocese to try to more control the food that they're giving out, not just free for all. Because as you notice, and I notice, it's right over here on the street in front of 7-Eleven.
Our dog loves. Oh, yeah, the food.
It's just freaking out.
Maybe circle back and talk about objectives. I'm hearing a lot of collaboration, action, activation.
Yeah.
Like how can we create an objective out of those?
What is everyone willing to do, want to do? What, you know?
It seems like how you want it to be different, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're?
There's a lot of garbage and litter, so me and Ben pick up, you know, if you take a Smith bag out to and fro where you're walking and you pick up some litter, that helps. It makes a difference, even if it's a little bit. You know, it will continue to get littered out there. I have a feeling, you know.
But I think that's a big part of activating the space.
Right, being out
By,
there.
by picking up litter, you're occupying the public space and letting people know that you care, and that's contagious, or at the very least it sends a signal to the other people in the community that there are people in this community that care.
And
I
you're
think
watching and paying attention.
So is activation enough to be an objective for you? Or do we need to?
More specific.
Again, I think that activation maybe is more of it's something that we do in pursuit of
I'm hearing two different things here. One is the priorities and the other is objectives, right? So the priorities are activation, safer, cohesive neighborhood, right? The objectives are trash cleanup regularly, a Narcan training, meeting some people in buildings to see if we can get an invite in to, take some of that process. So like, I think it's important to differentiate like our overarching goals. There should probably only be a couple, like 3 to 4 to 5. And then like the objectives that feed into each of those. So if the priority is a cohesive community or an activated neighborhood, whatever, what is an objective that feeds into that? Is that cleaning up the neighborhood? Is that having more like community gatherings? Is that having a police night out? Those sort of objectives that go in. And then the objectives are things that can shift and change and update over time, but like the priorities more or less should stay the same, though we may like change how they're oriented. Our top priority may not remain our top priority, but it's probably still on the list.
Right, and we all have different skill sets, like you are with the Red Cross.
Yeah.
So you're talking about RCAD, so that might be your wheelhouse of stuff that you know about. No, okay. Yes.
Also, thank you
Yeah.
for especially, because I was thinking by us trying to come up with like 3 main objectives, that was more like mission statement type stuff. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, my thought process is
sorry.
here.
The objective would be clean and safe.
And-
Safe
Right,
neighborhood.
yes,
as a
definitely.
whole.
I like to make a presence. I come down here to walk with my dog, the dogs that I walk for work all the time, and I watch people and I want them to know that I'm watching and paying attention to things to them. And it does deter behavior. If you're watching people and paying attention and reporting stuff, they notice, and they may take some of the stuff inside, but it does help. And I know that when we're working on River Rock in that area down there, unfortunately some of the people move down here, and I'm now seeing them all down here doing the same stuff. So it does shift around, but we can make it better. And the police has been doing a really good job recently down here, focusing on it a little bit more. So you may have noticed a difference maybe on the stretch of those 4 buildings out there.
I have noticed more presence.
Well, I think something that Shlee and I have talked about too is like, I want us to be cautious of like further criminalizing being homeless. Right?
Oh,
Like,
not,
I
yeah.
want us to
It's
approach
not about
this
being homeless,
with-
it's just about people committing crimes.
Right, and I want to just make sure we're like approaching that issue with empathy as well, and that's why I'm fearful of the neighborhood watch mentality.
Right.
And also interested in like Narcan training and things that could like be community resources as a whole.
Yeah, we want to be empathetic, but we don't want to enable or, not hold people accountable for behavior and,
And we're just pushing people to the next neighborhood,
Right.
just spiral.
Yeah, we don't want it, the whack-a-mole thing, right? We don't want to do that.
It's about repair.
Yeah,
We started meeting with you're all familiar with the Rio Grande.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming,
For sure.
but we started meeting every other week, meeting with the temporary shelter community, with the unsheltered community, with the neighbors in the neighborhood. And kind of creating a space where people can come together and get a greater level of understanding with each other, but it helps to activate that community.
I give these out to the unsheltered, the homeless, anyone, and I encourage them to come to council meetings or the neighborhood watch meetings. It involves everyone. It's up to everyone. It doesn't matter if you live in a home, an apartment, if you are a user or non-user, everyone's a part of the community and should be participatory and put in what they think, is important to them, and it's different for everyone, but. I want everyone to.
One thing that might be a little bit different than River Rock is just where we're located, because we are sort of we're like right at the border with downtown, essentially downtown, right? And also central city. So like, as you go to certain neighborhoods and it's, like it might be a complex, but it's not as walkable as this area. So it's a little bit more anonymous too.
Yeah.
Because like, when you have a window smashed, it's hard to know if it's, someone that's homeless, maybe not, maybe it's someone just walking in the neighborhood, but because people are going to bars and they're downtown, going to gourmandise and things like that, it's very hard to know who's walking in your neighborhood. If they're coming from a bar, if they're causing trouble, or if they're just trying to find somewhere to spend the night, and they know someone in one of these apartments. So I think that's one thing that's unique about our area. Probably the Rio Grande, probably the same thing. It's closer to some of the amenities of downtown as well. But I don't know, but because like I said, because that's the thing too, is like you definitely see familiar faces, but then at other times, like you come home from like an event that's later at night, it's very hard to know who that person is. And I mean, if you're right downtown, people are walking around all night.
Yeah.
So when you get a window smash, it's sort of like, is this, or someone writes something on the building next to yours, guys, 666, everything is whatever.
It's a fight, right? Like,
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've had two places.
Right, and so, so it just, it's so, like, I think, getting to know, people and also in the neighborhoods too, like when you look at the Google reviews on these buildings, there are people that say these buildings are gorgeous, but I don't feel safe. And so you're like, okay, there's stakeholders in that building, maybe feeling a little bit more vulnerable than an owner because of that dynamic, but still wanting the same thing, or, dropping their kid off on the bus, and thinking the same thing, like, this neighborhood isn't as ideal as I would like it because I have to do the same things that I would want them to see.
Right, exactly, exposed to a lot around here, just within a block period, I see things that kind of shock me now.
Can I suggest one objective? And like, you all care about the neighborhood, right? And what makes the place special is people that care for it. Right? If people don't care for a neighborhood, it will go into disrepair. That's just how things are. I'd say one objective is to get everyone to care about the success of the neighborhood. Right? People from the club who care, people from Hollywood who care. I don't know if people in the other buildings.
I'm working on it.
Well,
Jude, I see a lot, we see the Jude, and I see people coming in and out of it that are trying to engage with the homeless people. Unfortunately, I see some arguments from the balcony of frustrated residents from the Jude. I've long thought that there could be some avenues for cooperation.
Who's conflict with property? Oh, so do we know who the property management is for the Jew, the name of the property?
yeah, that's a list of all. But the way that we got at River Rock people to care is we essentially had to get the owners and property managers to care for their property.
Yeah.
I get the sense that some of these properties are
Another
not
rise
being
property.
cared for.
Yeah.
And so we might
Rise.
have to like pull some strings to get the property managers and owners to care about this neighborhood like you guys do. Because they probably don't care about this neighborhood right now.
Sort of a niche question, but some of these buildings are historic, right? The Hollywood has a historic designation by the
Lincoln.
council or whatever. I'm wondering, beyond the Lincoln, like what other buildings are historic or could be deemed historic? 'Cause we have an in on the council that does that.
I think Stuart mentioned that she met with some people at the buildings across the street that were historical, but I'll have to ask him about
Yeah,
that.
not all of them are historic, even
Right.
though they're old buildings, they're, certain criteria to get us on the
We could look into
historic
that.
list,
Right.
But if they were.
but I think
to be
that
like,
even
closer
more
to-
generally, we have a lot of history here to be proud of and celebrate and bring that to light, even if we don't have a plaque.
Yeah.
Just like talking about, that we used to have the Blue Mouse that was here, Cosmic Airplane was here. We've got a lot of very, the public radio station was above. it.
All these buildings hold a lot of history.
We've got a lot of great history.
We do.
And I think if we just celebrate that and bring it to light, educate ourselves and hold that with high regard and pride, then I think that will do us a lot of benefit as well.
I admit this is coming from a place of frustration, but I almost want to flip the argument on its head and say, I don't want this neighborhood to be special. I want it to look like the block to the east, the block to the west, the block to the north, the block to the south, right? Like I look just very nearby and it's like, oh, Current feels so much different than where I live. Bar X feels so much different than where I live.
It's not like
I
it's
pick
one
up the
street
trash
to
out there,
another.
it's not
What's
much of a difference. It really
huge
is.
difference.
And that's one of the things about Salt Lake City. I look at like how bad it is here and I really focus on it. And then I just go somewhere else on foot, anywhere else in the city, and you see very similar things. I think it's a higher concentration. We have it a little bit worse, but this is not a unique problem. But this is a unique block. This is a unique community. And I think that we can use that to our benefit. I understand that like there are people that want to go to the suburbs and they want to fit in. They want to have that cliche urban or rural lifestyle. Like they want to live just like all their neighbors and they all want to be
Cookie cutter.
cookie cutter people, but the thing about that, this neighborhood doesn't cultivate that very well. And I think that that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I can understand not wanting to throw any gas on the fire, you know, and make us super unique because we have, you know, burning cop cars, but you know,
It's gotten worse though, right? We've lived here a little over 2 years, 2.5 years now. And I definitely think that I mean, I've lived in Boston and New York and DC and so I've lived in a lot of like pretty rough areas. And this is the only place where I've decided I don't want to walk my dog at night.
right.
And that wasn't the first year I was here.
And I think most of that has to do with the closing of the road home. We're seeing like that has,
And Magnolia, if anyone thinks that they've said that it's got worse since that opened, unfortunately,
Yes.
everyone's got a consensus with that, so
Yeah.
that's something
And-
we need to address a little bit.
and it's gone up and down. But yeah, the closing of the road home, it's not as though that made an immediate shift to a certain status. It's one of these things where because now we don't have, you know, that resource available for the community now, that kind of like exploded all over, and now that's finding little places to take hold where they're, you know, finding concentration points and then being dispersed.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this in our meetings, and it's not the only thing I pay attention to, but I do pay attention to things like broken windows and such, right? And so
Right.
at Third East, though, you know, I mean, going beyond our block, I mean, Tomo, the tattoo place had replaced the whole panel on theirs.
Yeah, they did.
I can't remember the building. It's a rental, it's right next to Gourmandise.
Cupcake
You know,
vendors.
The public defenders.
Oh,
Oh,
they're-
yeah,
that's- they're-
So it's, you know, what I mean, so like, even though like, I think we see, you know, like definitely the heightened aspect. You know, I see a lot of the kind of small petty theft costs $800 here or there, you know, all the way down to the library. And then, you know, I was looking at the apartments, that's the huge apartment that's now the building that's near Second and Second, you know, and the one of the persons reviewed in there, because when we were first looking at for apartments, guys, pickup truck was blown out the windows in the parking lot, because, you know what I mean, in the garage, because they were looking for stuff, so someone just jacked his whole window down. So, you know, I mean, I think those people are probably feeling the exact same thing, even though I think we see the congregation a little bit more,
Mhm.
you know, because I think about like that one complex they're trying to sell right next to Tomo and things like that. And I was walking down the other day, I called 911 because the window was like all cracked and it was making the noise, like it was just about to burst. You know, and I called the non-emergency number and they said, oh no, you gotta call 911 for this. You know, but you know,
Put you on hold.
well, they come right to me and they put a thing on there, said they had to clean up the glass and all that within a day. But, you know, if you lived in the Sampson building, you know, condos right there, and all of a sudden, you know, you had a whole door window blown out, someone threw a rock through it. You know what I mean? That day you probably feel the same way that, you know what I mean? So,
Where I want to have a little bit more accountability to make
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
it does get repaired quickly.
Vaccinated, you know.
Also, like, what can we do to help them? Like, I understand a lot of times it's hard to get somebody to come and fix your window.
right.
Like, how can we start developing those resources to make sure that those things get done
Yeah.
Quickly,
quickly and
Yeah.
affordably? You know, some people can't afford it, some people,
yeah.
but a lot of times where we've got, you know, bad management now, it's like, we just gotta put pressure on somebody to just do what it is that they're already accountable to do.
Yeah, we really need to talk to the property managers, and I'm working hard on that. I'm giving these out, walking up and down 30 East for weeks. I have been, and giving these out with my card to say, hey, we're gonna have a meeting, and I'm gonna go back and forth and meet these leasing agents, property managers, you know, eventually all of them, hopefully.
I wondered, just in the, just because we're kind of running short on time here, I wanted to maybe pivot us and ask a question of our group, which is that it seems as far as we've talked about priorities or values, we've talked a little bit about objectives. And I think maybe just using language, I think it might actually be more helpful for us as a group to talk about actions we'd like to start taking, as opposed to maybe the objectives, because I feel like we're all kind of
On
at
board.
least somewhat united in what we'd like to see.
It looks good to get it going, you know?
But I think what would be helpful now is next steps. Like, what would we like, how would we like to act now? What would be helpful and make a difference?
Yeah, so what I heard from both the River Rock example and some of the stuff that you spoke about and from other places is bringing together more of the community, like people that live in these places here. I maybe I'm naive, but I think everybody wants to live in a clean, safe place.
Totally.
Including all those folks there that are there. And so, and I think that whether or not the landlords or management companies or whatever have a stake in it, I think we should really make an effort to involve them, and how can we both encourage them, but also, support them, and, anyway, that may be hard, but I would like to bring more.
Because we're gonna make change
I
regardless.
think
We're not
that's
gonna stop us.
essential to get real sustainable, change for long.
So what is step one?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you want action, is there anybody willing to befriend some people that live in these units?
That's that, all of us. I think we should all
Yeah.
start trying to make friendships of the people who are living on the west side of
Yeah.
the
Before
border in
buildings,
this
yeah.
area east of us. And start forming those connections so that we can start taking some of the action items you were saying were successful for River Rock
Yeah,
and
and
start doing some of that.
Last time we did have a resident that attended,
Darren, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't-
kind of-
yeah.
Fuck
And I
you,
think
she would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like our first steps, we need to know people in those buildings, right?
Yeah. we know one.
Note that, so you said all of them want to be in a clean and safe place, and some of them don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
some
We're
people-
going to find out, there are people in there actively destroying the buildings they live in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and those are the people who sadly will probably have to be evicted. And that's what happened at River Rock, like either they get some harsh treatment saying, if you don't clean up your act and take care of this place,
Yeah. Have pride in where you live, you
yeah,
know?
you won't have the privilege of being in subsidized housing in this location. And it'll hurt, but that's part of cleaning up the neighborhood, is you gotta weed the people who are destroying it out.
And we got rid of drug dealers, we got rid of one major drug dealer, after, through legal processes and eviction, that was attracting all sorts of people to the building and stuff, and, loitering, causing scenes and noise disturbances. 24 hours a day, we were like on our phones and calling the police and on emergency and just. And
Well, Austin, how did you get to the property managers and get them engaged?
So when we were talking with them nicely at first, they weren't cooperating. The way that we got them to act was that threat of $36 million being pulled from their, from their.
money
owners.
talks and the media helps. a lot.
The money talks.
Not
And
that he's
luckily,
involved.
luckily, like I said, these are all publicly subsidized low-income housing buildings.
Mhm.
And so they also have strings attached because of it.
They have to meet certain minimum requirements.
So we
so.
can do, but like the businesses around, like, just today I was running into a thing with not being able to get in communication with the 257 building. Or the management that does the parking garage now, or like we've been trying to get a hold of the 7-Eleven management, haven't been able to do that. Honestly, it was even hard to get in communication with people at the club.
For a while.
Just because, like.
We didn't know anything.
Everything's kind of secure and like, you can't really just go knock on the door and talk to people. So,
I just run up and accost people and that.
so I love that there's a leverage point, a pressure point that we can use to hold those people accountable and. But more generally, is there something that we can do?
Yeah, so befriend people who live here,
Mhm.
because we need to get inside of these buildings.
Take pictures
And we need to get evidence.
Yeah.
Right? If there are if the issues you see on 300 East are because of people living in the buildings, the problems aren't going away until those people either change the way that they live or move out.
And there's a lot of them like River Rock, there's trespassers or people that stay or visit or don't live there that are also a problem. And you can't really, it's hard to pin down those people and like hold them accountable because they're all over the place, But
Something we have noticed though, like when we first lived here, like we knew our local unhoused people.
Yeah.
Like, and they knew us because we're out with our dog and they'd be like, oh, that's the cute mean dog. Like,
yeah,
don't stay away. And something we've noticed just in the last year is sort of a different with people that we don't recognize or don't recognize us and are approaching us or following us or, Granola doesn't like when someone follows me, so she'll like look around and be like, that's sorry. That's awesome. It's just really mean. But I mean, it's different too, because like I think we had kind of a comfortable thing going with the local unhoused, and it sort of feels like that there's this different transient population that sort of comes and goes and comes and
I
goes.
think some of it did
And
come
has
from
brought like drugs, I feel like is
I think
something
that
that
is
I've seen more.
part of making friends, right? Like, that's why we need to be friendly with the unhoused people in our neighborhood, because.
Yeah.
A vast part of that population are very like law-abiding citizens
Yeah,
Totally.
with, you know, with the exception being that they might have to camp.
yeah. And I'm on good
Um,
terms with a lot of like the unsheltered or even the other people I know, users or criminals, I hate to use that word, but they literally are. But I'm on a good terms, so I talk with them, I just talk to them like anyone else. I take in information, I process it, stuff like that. And it's worked really well for me because, I can engage with them and there's just a mutual open, kind of respect.
Got
for those
respect
parties.
and humanity.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know if that building was sold yet? Are they still looking to sell the building, the investment realtor advisor group?
Which
Last
one?
I saw, I was
Buildings were being sold on this.
Three of them?
All four of them.
All four of them.
It was listed for over a year and then the listing came down. So,
Investment
and it
properties,
hasn't sold.
realtors.
But
You need to get to some
only
talk
the
to
corner
someone.
building is required to be government subsidized too.
Would it be helpful if we, like, if I walked down the block and compiled a list of the, like, buildings in the neighborhood
Yeah.
who may or may not be contributing to the overall, like, drama or who we want to, like, assess?
We have a
I'd be happy-
spreadsheet that
Yeah,
shows.
that would be very helpful.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
We already have a list that we started, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the main first.
yeah,
step,
so
the
we
main
can just put
goal
down our spreadsheet.
We have started.
get inside of these buildings and see if the problems that you see outside on the street are coming from inside those buildings.
I'm down to take a walk at least.
Okay,
For sure.
because if they are, we're gonna have to attack it from inside the buildings in private property. If it's just issues that are on the street because of people who live on the street, that's a totally different.
Okay, great,
thing.
perfect.
We had a meeting with the property owners and the property managers in August on the good landlord tenant program. The good landlord tenant program, if they're a member of that, they're supposed to be, which the Pauline apartments were, I don't know, 70-80% on a voucher.
Mm.
On the housing vouchers, and there's different levels of housing vouchers for different needs. But the tenants, if they're in jeopardy of getting in trouble, they can be exited, they can lose their house.
Right.
So it's not something from my perspective that they want. They don't want to lose their housing.
Totally.
But the way that Boston's waiting to get to be friends, I think you have to be in a common area. It's like getting people out to have a conversation. Oh, you have a dog, I have a dog. What kind of dog do you have? And then just, it's the little things. But it's not, I mean, I get the intent to get inside and look inside, but trying to build a neighborhood and build a community and finding those common grounds. My neighbor watches my house when I'm gone.
Right.
My neighbor on the
Exchange
side,
numbers
I
and
watch
emails.
her house. I take her to the airport if she needs a ride to the airport. It's those kind of things, people making some bread and bringing over a loaf of bread. Those little kind of things are. But we do
A lot of
we
people.
do
in Berlin,
programming.
Many.
So we have, like, in ballpark where we had a troubled area with these various things somewhere, the businesses got together. We worked with them, but they do programming. So one entity does something once a month.
Like Roja, right?
But the Wasatch Christian Church holds a block party for that one. The Davis distributor has a cat out, a race, what do they call it? Alley cat race. Yes, alley cat race. What's another one? Oh, the Fit to Recover. They do art on the buildings and do their lunges and their sprints up and down the alley. Some of these things haven't happened yet. Some of them are building, some of them, but it's like programming something that activates this area and then brings people out. So we do ACE funding. So Rihanna did a pizza in the park this year and
Oh,
brought
that was
people
fun.
out from the neighborhood.
And there are Taffer Park stuff.
Got to talk to each other and you got to know their neighbor across the street. Oh, you live in club condos. Well, what's that like? You guys have a workout facility? What like to work out? So we do for your exercise, you know?
Yeah, people pass each other too often on the streets and don't say hello or engage or get to know, exchange numbers, and it's important to do that. Like, I've done that in my neighborhood. I have a spreadsheet of people's names, everything. I know them face to face. I talk to them all the time. Almost all the houses around 7th South.
Right, I go back to Ben saying that like an objective would be to have clean, safe neighborhood.
Yeah, it's not that,
And that's the objective, and how do you get there?
should be
Well,
that difficult, when it should be very easily.
Some places, like I worked with, now I can't think of his name, actually it's the 7-Eleven owner on second south of the Northeast. And they ended up having to hire private security for a while because the drug deals were going on.
Well, so it was a shot then.
All these 7-Elevens are magnets for this
Oh, wow.
stuff.
Had a group hired people to pick up trash in the ballpark area over off their street. But it just, I mean, I'm just throwing things out there of what can be done, all options on the table, of looking at what possible.
Like, here's trash pickup that we've been talking about, like getting together for an hour,
Oh.
just picking up along all together.
So we did that.
That's
It's
all.
called the neighborhood blitz. We did it in an alleyway in ballpark, right? Over
You
by
guys
the
do it all the
Science
time,
Center.
right? Or once a month or something?
Yeah,
But if you did it here, it would attract people
Yeah.
who care about the neighborhood,
Right,
who live in these other buildings, and then we have,
If they knew about it.
yeah.
yeah.
But we
and then
can
have
promote it
better
beforehand.
coalition.
Well, hopefully some of
Also
us have
keep it
skills that I don't have.
But as you go around, trash, even complain to each other about the status of,
Totally,
what's
yeah.
going on, and you'll find people are sympathetic and.
It'll attract attention, and then it'll attract attention, maybe the property owners more, or the landlords, or.
if I get them that notice, I can do little things, like I can bring out some extra garbage cans or dumpsters or
You have
something.
a power washer?
Oh, our offers, yeah.
For those places,
We
the
got
buildings, the
something that
stairwells, and
us a little bit
Skids.
more resources,
Really.
right? Coordinate over there, but on that east side, you gotta bring the neighborhood together, you gotta bring the community together.
Yeah, I think something that we had a resident in one of those buildings here last time, and something that you talked a lot about was how his heat would go out or his hot water would go
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
How a lot of people in his building were struggling with like basic utilities that were going out, not getting.
We need to
fixed
know about
quick.
that.
You hear that stuff, you let me know. because
That's-
we-
And I think.
Yeah,
that's
that's
probably-
good.
Okay, that was your last one.
This is-
I'll
this is
reach out to
really
Darren and
quick.
see
That's
what's going on
Yeah.
Why-
Well, that was
That's
my
basically
response,
it.
but I think he also said that he, maybe not him specifically, but some of his neighbors fear retaliation pretty substantially.
Well, we
Sure.
can,
We'll hold-
we can do an inspection without, if the water's out,
Okay.
if the heat is out, those are safety, those are life safety issues.
But we'll watch them make for that retaliation for this out. That's the fear of a lot of tenants, like Little Rock was, "Oh, if I say anything, I won't be flying under the radar. I'll get attention. I could get evicted. They might find some reason to do something to me." We'll watch that
And
stuff
that's
when
gonna
it
ground
starts
business.
to develop. And
Yeah, I love that, thank you.
I just wonder too, like, cause when we mentioned about partnerships and, I know that, Tim just mentioned the West Side having more resources, but we have so many corporate, and we got the church right here, we got the Catholic church up there too as well, so. Just organizing spaces cause I guarantee over there as well, they talk to people all the time that are.
If somebody could figure out how to connect with the heartstrings of the people at the Boyer building, that would be really nice.
Huh.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's
Good
exactly
luck.
what I was thinking, right, but, yeah, just because we do have, corporation, the companies are right here, Harmon's being another one, maybe.
I also think that a lot of the crime, when we talk about the theft, a lot of it has to do with that. We've got so much retail that's there, and I see all the brand new clothes tags that are all over the floor.
I find rocks
or all
in
over
my
the
area
sidewalk here,
all the
so I know that it's pretty regular, that retail theft and,
Yeah.
now acceptable slippage in our modern world.
Yeah, H&M doesn't even have their doors open on the side of the street after a certain
I
time.
think Forever 21 was this week's cash grab.
And there is individuals, there's also very organized theft rings that I'm aware of that go a lot deeper and more intricate that play into this as well.
Yeah, if we are looking for spaces though for events, like we know the event coordinator over at the diocese, because the diocese and like, we know Holly, who's one of the ministers, but the event coordination and the conference space is separate and the event coordinator is a
Oh, and movie night, if anyone wants to do a volunteer, like shift 2 hours at movie nights over at
they-
the second,
Please
I
send
do it
me
all the
all
time,
about
I'd love to have
Yeah.
a group of us do it.
That sounds great.
And we used to have our HOA meetings at the Methodist Church too, so that would be another place where we can also do, you know.
Bet they have more chairs.
Two questions about scoping this too. Like, what area does this include? You know, I mean, when we think about other buildings and things like that. That'd be one question I have. Just because I know that, you know, what I mean, like, is it this block and the next block, or we just cut it? I mean,
I think ideally what we want to do is kind of follow that neighborhood watch guideline, not because we want to be called neighborhood watch,
Right.
but they generally want to have like much smaller groups or much smaller
Zones.
areas. So we could have, you know, in our district, we could easily have, you know, 20 different neighborhood watch areas. And so just that, I know when it comes to picking up trash, I do not need to leave this block to have a full-time job. To
Totally.
collect
I
trash.
know, my area had 1 or 2 blocks, 7th South, and between a couple
Yeah.
of streets was enough work for
And,
me.
and it really is.
24 hours a day.
You know, down we're Brandon's, you know, we've got a lot of houses, a lot of more of that single family home type of residence.
Right.
Where here we've got like the apartments and.
Yeah,
condos.
you're in both
It's a
areas.
different community.
He lives here and he has a home at 8 South in the area where I was working on, so he's familiar with both of the scenarios and the
He
type of
chooses
thing.
to live here with us.
Yeah, this, yeah, the son lives
Uh,
there.
And I think
Or
before we run out of time too, that having police that don't have like pride in our neighborhood or like our neighborhood or whatever, I'd like to see what we can do to find out if there's anything we can do to entice police to live in this area. You know,
Stuart was supposed to be here, so she said she'd be here in person online, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
find out why.
I know in the
I'll
past, there's.
find out.
And mostly we're pushed from like federal level to get.
It could be Zoom
police
link
and get
stuff going on, I don't know, but I'll find out.
And even if we can't get that from the federal area, I don't know if that's something.
There's a little bit, it's when they hire a new police officer that's in training, because they try to get them.
Right, it's usually how they subsidize the police academy and stuff like that.
Yeah, they try to get them to live in those areas in the neighborhoods that they're calling for.
Yeah, that would be good to
Before I
have.
forget about that, I'd like to see what we can do to pursue that, because I really think if we had police that liked this neighborhood.
And walked around and talked to people, but
Cared about.
They were
Yeah.
invested.
Yeah, also
Yeah,
invest.
state
And also when we talk about people being vested in, you know, us being condo owners, obviously we're well vested. But there are people that have rented
for years.
the
and
exact
years.
same apartment for 20, 30 years around.
Yeah.
That are just.
About that, like, even just in our building, something that we wish happened was if a condo was going up for sale or going up for rent, that there was some sort of community board, right?
Yeah.
We found out there were 2 on our floor that were for rent, and we had friends looking and they got filled by strangers, right? So instead, if we could post them and share it with the police.
Word of
No,
mouth,
we're-
things like that.
Our HOA, we're gonna probably be a little bit more active as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should all, people who have buildings that you live in condos or rentals should maybe, if you don't have one yet, ask if you could do a community board, something, anything to post things. Some people do social media and then not look at tangible stuff, and some people it's vice versa, they don't do social media at all, so we have to address and like connect to everyone. You know, whether it's email, text, face to face, smoke signals, you know, tell us about or whatever.
Various HOAs talking to each other. as
Right.
well.
And one of the big ones was just being able to coordinate security camera footage.
Yes,
Like
very
such a
important.
trivial thing that we should be able to do.
I do that with all the houses in my neighborhood. I know if they have cameras and if they're willing to give me access to them or provide me clips or video. And then I have a network of people. We could track someone going down certain blocks
It's like they-
sometimes for a
they said
distance.
that The
Okay.
wine store over on the west side ended up being broken, and I'm just like, man, if the police could just be able to do what it is that we've been doing, where
Yeah.
we just go building to building and be able
Yep.
to like track somebody down the street.
Right.
And especially if we can do it like moments after it is that a theft occurred.
Yeah, in real time.
We can do so
Makes a
much
difference.
more to be able to kind of curb that activity. If we rely on the police to go through the process that they go through.
It-
Like, they have to
time.
jump through hoops and they have to go through procedures that we as citizens don't have to do.
Yeah. It's all legal the way we do it, but it's a network of open communication and
It's-
respect and
It's
collaboration.
community and collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not,
Get a hold of Mark Wayne and tell him you wanna copy with the cops over here.
when are they gonna do the community academy? I've been emailing
Let's
about
do
him about
That'd
that.
be great.
for a year.
Let's do it.
I mean, 7-Eleven coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the neighborhood, it's
Yeah.
the community.
Is there any word
Thanks.
on
No, they're never like that.
Oh.
Is
No.
any
He's trying to put a restaurant in there.
That'd be great.
coffee?
I know, I'm bummed about it too.
You still
I've
said
started
People's
seeing
Coffee.
a lot.
Yeah, people's coffee, you know. There's actually a coffee shop in the big building next to us on a 13th story, called like Pine Coffee or something.
Where's it?
Oh, three.
Oh, 3 Pines.
Three Pines, yeah. So there's a coffee shop there.
They're happy to spawn the have it wherever you want it. You don't want it to.
What's that little place in the, by the salt and olive and all that? What is
No, I
it?
did love it. I just believe we'll get more of the.
The bottom of it? I'd love to go in. I've just given them the card.
That's what the hot coffee store. As we're wrapping up a little bit here, I love that you brought up naloxone
Yeah.
and Narcan training. Ashley, thank you for doing that. I
We
wanted
can
to-
get it at the university.
Hey, if there is interest, I am wondering
Yeah,
whether
we
or
could
not
stream
you
it
guys
out,
do
that's
want to
okay.
get certified to do naloxone and Narcan. I'm happy to contact you on naloxone and actually have them come here.
Jen Plum should be, or
And
she was.
give you and train us on how to use and
You did?
administer that, if you guys are interested.
Jen-
Does anybody
Oh,
want
which,
a good community?
Oh.
Jen Plum is she?
William is raising his hand.
Oh, Williams, oh gosh, sorry, we need to pay better attention to the chat. I am so sorry. Oh my gosh, we need a chat dedicated person to watch this stuff. We're so sorry. This is a work in progress.
Flyer about that, how to your copy really quick, like. Yeah, we need your copy.
You got someone online?
Yeah, well, we have people that like are on there and we forget to pay attention to like if people have questions and stuff because we're so focused on. the work,
Ask
so.
to unmute. Oops.
Huh?
I don't know what I'm
We're so
doing
sorry.
here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Do I just need to turn up the volume?
Can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I know we're running very short on time. My name is Will. I'm actually a member of the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. And I also used to be homeless myself. So I have 7 years of lived experience being on the streets, and I am very willing to help out with the homeless population.
Awesome.
So I'm actually in the central city quite often. I might as well live over there. I actually live off of 39th right now, so it's a little bit of a commute, but I'm down there almost every day. And so I see what's going on, and I talk to the homeless quite often, and they're usually very respectful to me, and I treat them with compassion, and I do what I can to help them out, even if that's a bottle of water.
Yeah, or give some mittens out or something, you know, when I have. extra
Right, exactly.
And like gloves.
Right, and so I also heard about naloxone. I carry it myself, and so I'm able to train you guys myself if you guys want that. It's not hard.
Nasal and
Super
injection.
simple. Yeah. So one of these times when I'm able to attend in person, I will bring my naloxone, and I can kind of show you guys pretty much how to use it and what to do, you know.
Right.
It's super simple. It's like 3 steps, so and then you're certified.
Yeah. Jen Plum, who's supposed to be sitting in on this, but she might have had an issue with the link. She asked to come in, but I will get her the recorded version of this. She's the one that is the head of Utah naloxone, I believe, right?
So yes, Jen Plum, Senator Plum is the head of Utah naloxone. She was in here, but she had to leave.
Okay, that's good. At least she was in there.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, if you guys need any of my input or expertise, please feel free to reach out. Brandy, you have my email. Ben, you have me on Messenger. Same with you, Brandy.
I'd love for you to come down sometime and walk around with us and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I can set up a time to do that.
Do you have a chair? Did you get a chair like to get around in?
Yeah, I have a wheelchair. I'm good on that. And so I know you guys were also talking about places to volunteer. Valley Behavioral Health Code Blue Site is another good place to volunteer.
Okay.
It's right there off of Main Street. It's 1020 South Main. So it's another good place to volunteer. But yeah, that's really all I have. If you guys have any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Will. Thank you for speaking, and I'm glad you're here. And sorry, last time I think we had an issue getting you on or something.
Yep.
So we're making progress little by little.
things are
Thank you.
moving steadily. Tech side is improving. Thanks to Ben.
Do we have anybody else that was?
Does anyone else want to speak? If we ignored anyone, I'm so sorry. We kind of forgot
I think
to
it
go
was
out.
him and Jen that joined. I think there was somebody else that joined in the last.
Scott Clark is another one on here, but
Oh, he's over by Roberta or somewhere, 8 South area, I think, or something.
Oh, okay.
Kind of near where those guys live that would traffic like that.
Right.
So yeah, and then Scott, was Scott gonna do it? Have you talked to Scott, the HOA president too?
About what?
About if he's gonna attend meetings? I've sent emails and texts. I just don't know, like, he requested
For
to.
Excel, the management.
He's out of the country right now.
Oh, he is? Oh, no wonder. Okay. All right.
Anyway, I think we'll probably next time we'll work a little bit more on having a clear agenda.
Yeah.
Coming up maybe with a mission and a name,
Yeah.
and then the tips and
I think we're good though.
Yeah, these meetings, they go by really fast and we could probably last a good number of hours, but we don't want to, be here all night. But I think there's a lot to be discussed,
I'm just so we're all, we'll get it.
Thanks for listening.
It's my pleasure, it's my pleasure. You know what? This is great use of the state. I just like that.
thanks, Will. See you next time.
hey Ben, I'll give you a call on Messenger here in a minute.
All right, sounds good.
Okay,
Oh, funny.
You guys.
bye.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Change good enough for everybody.